be a true friend, you accept the other person as they are, and they accept you as you are. The thoughts about each other are always, what can I do to make my friend's life better? My first game, one of the guys on the other team takes a shot and I block it. And the referee called goaltending. And Red got up and went nuts. He ranted and raved so much that they called a technical foul on him. And I was thinking, the first time I had a coach that went to bat for me. After the game, I said, thanks for looking out for me. And Red says to me, Russ, loyalty is a two-way street. I can't expect my players to fight for me if I won't fight for them.
Basketball is a wonderful game for both the player and the fan. For the player, it offers the thrill of individual accomplishment and the rich satisfaction of being part of a well-coordinated team.
When I was a rookie, I invited Red to my house for dinner. And he would never go to anybody's house for dinner, none of the players, because then all the other players think that's his favorite or something like that. But he said the only reason he went was that I might have been insulted if he said no. And so as he's leaving, he says, listen, it's the last time. Don't ever do this again.
Well, if you look a little deeper than the flash and excitement of the game itself, you find the never-ending attention to details that make champions instead of just good athletes.
Less than a month before the season ended, my rookie year, he says to me, I want you to come to the game early. I want to talk to you about something. And so we're sitting in Boston Garden, and he says, I want to tell you something. You're the best player playing basketball. I said, I knew that. And he says, I know you do that, but I may be the only other person that knows it. You know, he says, these guys, they don't know what you're doing. I just want you to know that I know. And here's the coach saying to me, hey man, I'm so glad you're here. That was such a comfort.
The all-around play of the Celtics is too much for the Hawks to overcome. Boston downs St. Louis to win the NBA's World Series for the first time and become the professional basketball champion.
We've had a game in Boston Garden, and Red's sitting there arguing, holding the game up, arguing about something. The other coach, who had played center, so he's much bigger than Red, told Red to shut up and go and sit down. I said, who you talking to? You talking to Red, the little guy? If you want to tell somebody to sit down, shut up, tell me that. And see what happens. Everybody's shocked because they never heard me say anything. And so after the game, Red says, hey, Russ, thanks for looking out for me. I wasn't looking out for you, Red. I don't like that guy anyway.
The red-hot Boston Celtics look almost unbeatable as they take aim on another title. Big Bill Russell, number 6, is one of the men responsible for their phenomenal play. Coach Red Auerbach feels he has one of his greatest teams, and so far, they have sure looked the part.
The way he used to coach me was we'd have these conversations. Like there's one time we were leading the Eastern Conference by 12 games, I think. And he says, I'm so mad at you, I could bite the head off a 10-penny nail. What? What are you mad about? He said, you're just taking it easy, just finishing out the schedule. Well, even you ain't that good. He says, you have the Senators playing against you, terrorized. But if you start taking shortcuts, some of them are going to get the idea that they can play against you. And once they believe they can play against you, they can play against you. So now what you have to do, if you want to win a championship, is you have to finish this season create as much terror and havoc as you can possibly come up with.
West all alone. Look at Russell come down. And what a play by Russell!
It's all over. The Boston Celtics are once again the world champions. Red Auerbach has his coat off because they're going to heat him in a shower.
After I won my first MVP, we started the next season. And Red says, listen, Russ, tomorrow morning when we start practice, I'm going to be all over you. I'm going to be yelling and cussing and screaming. Don't pay any attention to it. You're the MVP of this league. If I can't yell at you, I can't yell at anybody. So I'm going to be yelling at you. It's not for you. It's for the other guys. You know how they give people an unlimited budget? He went over it. Oh, I got so annoyed with him. We'd play a game someplace and I'd see Red or he'd see me and he says, want to play some gin tonight? And we'd stay up till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning playing gin. I always lost. Because he's probably a better gin player than he was a coach. And that's saying something. We would play gin almost all night and talk about the game.
Go let everybody go after the ball. 5 guys get me the ball. Well, once we get it, then run.
He says, my mission as a coach is to develop these 2 things, the system and the atmosphere, and then get the hell out of the way.
Auerbach is lighting up the cigar. And Cousy got the ball. He throws it straight up in the air. It's all over. And there they go. They've won it again. The Boston Celtics win the world title for the 5th consecutive time.
While he's putting that system in, every step of the way, he asked us what we thought of it. He would receive the ideas, assess them, and figure out how to use them. And that way, the players were vested in the outcome. And I never heard him say, it's my way or the highway or anything like that.
On to Heinsohn, whose shot is stuffed in by Big Bill Russell. With 10 seconds to go, that clinches it. Boston fans have already started to carry Coach Red Auerbach off the court. Their Celtics have just won their 6th consecutive championship of the National Basketball Association.
Red used to never have a curfew. He said, why you never have a curfew? He says, because I have to be there to enforce it. I'll never forget one time, we won 17 straight games, which was the tied the league record. We were supposed to play Cincinnati, and Red really wanted that game. And so he called a curfew. And we were 25 points behind at halftime the next game. We got killed. And after the game, he walked into the locker room and apologized to us. He said, guys, I blew this one, and it'll never happen again. He was big enough, he'd say, I'm sorry.
Well, they've won it again. The Boston Celtics win the world title.
Red developed a system. The old guys always mentored the young guys. When I joined the Celtics, there was a man named Arnie Rison who was the starting center. Now, he knows that I'm there to take his job. Well, when I walk into practice, he walks over me and says, Bill, every time there's a break in the action, I'm going to be in your ears. I'm going to give you clues on what's happening. Frank Ramsey did the same thing for Havlicek. Sharma did that for Sam. Because Red made the players there so secure, they didn't have to worry about somebody coming and taking their job. The guy next to you on the bench is your teammate, not your rival.
Our practice sessions are tough, and we play a long, hard season. It takes a real man to make the NBA, and a better one to stay there year after year.
Luskatov played for us, and he had 2 career-ending operations. Well, after one of the knee operations, he was afraid to try it. So Red devised a little routine. He'd take the basketball and he'd throw it until Luskatov would catch it. Don't let it bounce twice. So Luskatov had to dive for it and crawl his knees and everything to catch the ball. And it was torturous. And Luskatov really resented that. So he used to tell us, when he retires, he's going to beat Red to death. And so after the last game of the season, he goes to the locker room And we're waiting to hear this thrashing, so to speak. And he's in there 2 or 3 minutes, 5 minutes, no noise. So we go in there, and Muscatov's got his arms around Red, crying and saying, "Red, I love you and thank you so much for helping me and all this." We were disappointed.
30 seconds left in the Celtics are on the verge of their 9th World Championship.
All right, Casey with the ball. Gets surrounded. 1 second.
Is it? It's all over. It's all over.
Everybody in the place is yelling and screaming. They deserve it, John. They're the greatest basketball team that was ever assembled.
It's Friday night, April the 1st. The place is Boston, which is really an Irish town. So their basketball team, which is made up of descendants of Germans and Africans and Czechs and Swedes and is coached by the son of a Russian Jew, their team is naturally called by the ancient Irish name, the Celtics.
When it comes to my activities in civil rights, we never talked about that.
Came out of friendship to Muhammad Ali. And I know that we wanted to find out from him, you know, you read the papers, you see on television and all this kind of stuff, what is going on.
The only time we ever talked about it was one time he was talking to me about when he first went to Boston. And there was a local college kid at Holy Cross named Bob Cousy. And Red did not draft Cousy. He told me, one of the writers said to him, "You know, you've insulted everybody in New England by not taking Bob Cousy. We're going to run you out of town. And besides that, you're a Jew, and we don't like Jews either." And I said, "Wow." And he says, I said, "How'd you handle that?" He says, "Oh, I'll just outlive the bastards." And that was one of the few conversations we had about race. He did not let it have a negative impact on him or his life. And that was already my attitude.
Well, do you think that you will get some white kids to play basketball with Negro kids?
I think so. I don't see why not. My kids play with white kids, and nobody got hurt yet.
One of the times we didn't play a exhibition game in Kentucky. Casey went down to the restaurant in the hotel we were staying, and they would not serve him.
I left the hotel and I went to a restaurant down the street, and the proprietor asked me what I wanted. I said, "This is a restaurant, isn't it? I'd like to get something to eat." He told me no.
We decided we weren't going to play. And I called Red and told him we were going home. Red went to the airport with us without saying a word. He was just saying, "You're part of my team, and I respect you. And if that's the way you feel about the situation, you're my team."
Here he is, the new coach of the Celtics, the best team.
As the first Negro coach of a major league sport, can you do the job impartially without any racial prejudice in reverse?
Yes.
How?
Because the most important factor is respect. In basketball, respect the man for his ability, period.
His last season as a coach, he got thrown out of 16 games. And the captain had to take over for the rest of the game.
I've had some experience in, you know how Red had a tendency to leave the game the first half?
When I took over as coach, Red would not come to a practice. I said, "Why?" He says, "I don't want the players to ever think I'm looking over your shoulder."
He's got all the responsibility. I'm not going to sit anywhere near him. He is going to be the boss.
When things were going not the way I wanted to go, I said, Red, I need you to come to practice. I need some help. Because my feeling was, if I have the greatest mind in basketball sitting in the office 100 yards from where I'm practicing, and I don't ask him to help me out, I would be extremely unintelligent.
Now another coach who is destined for fame is nothing but Bill Russell. He has been tremendous in getting us up for ball games. And you know, John, he's a little bit tougher than Red. And the redhead has always been tough.
And the Celtics, they have done it again. A spectacular finish.
Chris, I'm here with Bill Russell. Bill, this must have been a great win for you.
Exactly.
One more time.
I never felt like I was working for Red. I always felt that we were working together. We were a team. I know that the best possible thing that could happen to me in my pro career was having Red as my coach.
What has time done to the whole experience for you?
It's made it closer together. I thought it's probably closer together, and gives good feelings.
In his last couple of years up in Boston, we used to sit together at the games in the Fleet Center. He'd sit one row in front of me. He was the only person, one person, that smoked cigars in the Fleet Center. It was a non-smoking venue, and he smoked his cigars there. And I used to give him this, you know, and we used to enjoy those moments. One thing we used to talk about is what the guys are doing on the floor and what they're not doing on the floor, and how much noise there was in the building. You know, they got the band playing, they got these women out there dancing, and guys on the trampolines, and he said, "That's a game. What, the game? It's a game." And he coached in the NBA for 20 years. And not one single year did he have an assistant coach. And he looked down there, and there'd be about 4 or 5 guys around the coach. "Look at that crap, look at that crap." I said, "Well, how come you never had an assistant coach?" "That'd just be one more player I'd have to coach."
I agree wholeheartedly that this is the greatest player that ever played the game of basketball, Bill Russell.
Thanks, Red.
Don't pat me on the head.
You know,
He knew, and I knew, that I cared a great deal about him, and he cared a great deal about me. And we always kept that up to date. There was not a time when we didn't have regular conversations.
I can't get one flag and say that's special. They all meant so much. And that guy giggling over there, he was with me on the most. Will you just raise your hand, sir?
He knew that he's one of the few people that I liked. And I knew I was one of the people that he liked.
hey, Larry, now you're the offensive leader of this team, and you end up winning the game. Can I finish this? Can I finish this?
Because, see, the reason I kid him all the time is that most people are intimidated. We're intimidated by Red.
Red, you want to say something?
What I want to say is, you know how it feels because you've been here before. Me, I haven't scored a point. You know?
But you kind of brought the guys here that scored the points.
Well,
So you're overpaid.
I want you all to know, and those of you that know me, this is no swan song. Hell, I'm not going anywhere.
I would call him up and let him know that here's somebody that don't give a stuff about all the legend and icons and stuff. All I care about is this is a friend of mine, and all he cares about is he's hearing from a friend of his.
I feel honored. It's very seldom that you have Bill Russell applauding me. I should be applauding him.
When he started getting sick in the last couple of years, I'd call him, I said, Red. He said, what? Who's this? This is William F. Russell. Hey, how you doing? I'm doing all right. How are you? The question is, how are you doing? Well, you know, it doesn't get any better, but I'm okay. All right, see you later. And that's the way the conversation would go, because I wanted to convey to him that I was thinking about him and I cared about him, but I didn't want to drain energy.
A giant in the world of sports has died.
Celtics legend Red Auerbach died Saturday at 89. Quite simply, Red Auerbach was the Boston Celtics, their unquestioned leader when they were among the most successful franchises in all of sports.
I do feel a tremendous sense of loss, because if you're fortunate and you have a few friends, because they're so important, if they leave before you do, there's an empty space. There's an empty space where a person was in my psyche.
At a condolence gathering Monday, Russell was too overcome to talk publicly about Auerbach's death. Instead, he simply kissed Auerbach's casket.
There's basically no obvious reason that we would have been friends, because we came from such diverse places. But we met